So on my other video, I got a couple of requests to do a matchup guide for Magik, which is what this video is going to be about. But if you haven't already watched that video I'm referencing, which is a Magik guide, make sure to go check that out after this. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with Adam Warlock. Warlock can kind of shut you down with the Soul Bond, which heals his teammates and splits the damage they receive. He also has a really annoying primary fire to deal with that can just chunk your HP. But he has no mobility, so if his Soul Bond is down, he's a good target. You have the advantage if you're able to play around these. Basically, it's a skill issue matchup, so he is going into the neutral tier. Next we have Iron Fist. There's honestly not much to say here because this is a pretty neutral matchup. You guys will both be diving the enemies and for the most part avoiding each other. If anything, I think Magik is slightly better because she has better brawl, but Iron Fist has better dive. So yeah, I don't know, it's pretty neutral. Iron Man. Again, you're not really fighting him much in this matchup, but he is an easy target for Magik, and should you be in a 1v1, you should win the majority of the time, landing Iron Man in favorable. Now on to Jeff. Jeff is Freelo. He doesn't do enough damage to fight back, and his passive that reduces crit damage doesn't work on you. He can't outrun you, and most of all, he has a humongous ass hitbox. Jeff is the freest kill in the game for Magik. Loki. Depending on how good the Loki is in the map, this matchup can be an absolute nightmare, because Loki can play from range and just leave whenever you spend all your cooldowns getting towards him. It's just generally going to be really hard for you to get value into Loki, so he's going into the log off tier. Luna Snow. For the most part, you're more mobile than her, so it's a good matchup for you since you can keep up with Luna when diving her. Not much else to be said here, so she's going into favorable. Magik. I mean, what is there to really say? It's just going to be a skill issue if you're losing the 1v1, so she's going into neutral. Magneto. Magneto isn't that bad for Magik. He has a bubble which can be pretty annoying, so just play around that, and there's not much else he can do to counter you except his mag cannon, which is typically less than what other tanks can do to deal with you, so I'm putting Magneto into neutral. Mantis. The only thing Mantis has over you is her sleep. If you get hit, you're cooked. But again, play around this and it's quite a good matchup for Magik, so I'd say this matchup is overall favorable. Moon Knight. You have faster movement than him and higher burst potential. Additionally, he has no stuns to stop you, so you're 100% at an advantage against Moon Knight. Freelo. Namor. Namor is super annoying. While not as annoying as Loki, his turrets make your life a lot harder. But as far as actually fighting him goes, he's an easy target because of his lack of mobility, predictable movement, and his only defense being a shield that just throws him up in the air, practically begging for him to get dived. Overall though, I would still consider this matchup unfavorable. Panther. You just won't really be interacting with the Panther that much when against one, so it's really who can carry their team harder. Neutral. Penny. I mean, she's just designed to make your life miserable. She has so many defensive abilities that stun you and deal a ton of damage. It's just that Penny still isn't that good because that's kind of all she does, but because the only thing she does is make it hard for you to play the game, she's going into log off. Still a winnable matchup, just annoying. Psylocke. This is another kind of matchup where you just aren't really interacting all that much. Again, it comes down to who can carry their team harder. Neutral. Rocket. Rocket is one of the best matchups for Magik because she's super good at destroying his buildables and also has the ability to chase Rocket's movement. It's also important to note that Rocket has no self-healing abilities, making him super easy to execute combos on. Freelo. Scarlet Witch. Scarlet is super annoying because she can constantly hit you just outside of your range, and she has the mobility to evade you when you're chasing. On top of that, she has a stun which can shut down your dives. It's super hard to win 1v1s against her, so you're best off ignoring her like Penny. So likewise, I'm putting her into log off. Spidey. This matchup is only slightly favorable to you just because if Spidey's diving you for some reason, you can portal to completely throw off his combos. But still, you're rarely going to be fighting each other, so he's going into neutral. Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is a tough one for Magik for a few reasons. First off, she can poke you out of your setup around corners or when you're hiding waiting for your cooldowns, which is what I find to be the most annoying. Secondly, she can lock your movement with her right click, which I've established is going to get you killed. Other than that, she's actually an easy target to attack if you have a window because of her lack of mobility. All that being said, if you're going against a good Squirrel Girl, it's going to be an unfavorable matchup. Star-Lord. Unlike a lot of the other dive characters, you might actually find yourself fighting Star-Lord a lot, which I find to be a challenging duel because he can hunt you down when you try and run and can also fly out of range of your melee attacks, so this is pretty unfavorable for Magik. Storm. Much like Iron Man, this is a good matchup for Magik. Because she flies, she's often isolated and it's easy to predict her movement, making for easy engages. However, if she's smart, she will be aware of you and position herself safely. Still, this will be favorable. Punisher. Punisher is a great dive target for Magik because he's a free kill if you get behind him when he's in his turret, and his one movement ability isn't enough to escape you. Just watch out for the shotgun and avoid his ranged attacks while staging. Overall, I'd say you got the advantage in a fight. Thor. Yeah, Thor just does nothing to protect his team against you, so you can kinda just avoid him and go for the backline all the time. When you are dueling him though, I think Magik's cooldowns and damage are just better, so this is an all-around free-low matchup. Black Widow. This is just a straight up winning matchup for Magik. Just make sure you're constantly on her so she's not shooting the rest of your team. You outrange her batons and are super hard to hit when you're in her face, so there's no reason to be losing your 1v1s. Freelo. Venom. Venom's basically a neutral matchup just because it's never in either of your interests to fight one another. You're going to want to go onto his backline since they have one less tank defending the supports, and he's going to want to dive your backline because that's just what he does. Because of this, Venom lands in the neutral tier. Winter Soldier. Against Winter Soldier, a lot of his abilities can be evaded or ruined by your portals, especially his ult, so use your portals thoughtfully and you'll be heavily advantaged. That being said, manage your cooldowns at all times because you'll be cooked if he hooks you and you have nothing to help you. So yeah, be mindful and this is a favorable matchup. Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger is an excellent matchup for you. They can do little to heal themselves or escape, so they are a priority target for Magik. Their only utility, which is the blind and phase out, are also pretty weak against Magik since she can chase enemies that are shadowed and is pretty much unaffected by the blind since she's melee. Freelo. Wolverine. Wolverine is one of the few characters I think it's actually worth your time to turn on when they dive your team, because he can't dive super far into your backline and he kinda stays in the front or mid line. Moreover, Magik is just good at dueling him because of her ability to outplay him with portals, and she will constantly generate shields off its massive health pool. Dodge his leap and you're chillin'. Overall, a favorable matchup. Captain America. This matchup basically plays out the exact same as the Thor matchup, except it's a little harder because Captain is more mobile and is able to help out his backline a bit. By no means does Captain shut you down, but it's also not like they're missing a tank. Neutral. Doctor Strange. Strange is a good matchup for you since he's very slow, meaning you can't quickly come to his backline to peel. On top of that, his only defense blocks frontline damage. It's not like he's handing you kills, but it's a matchup that definitely favors Magik. Hawkeye. Hawkeye can be pretty dangerous for Magik, so it heavily relies on your micro ability to outplay him. You have to worry about his one-shot, deflect, and knockback, making this a pretty skill-intensive matchup, which is why he belongs in neutral. Groot. His walls can split you from your team, mess up your movement, and block you from escaping. Not to mention, if you get caught in his ult, you're cooked. The other important thing to realize is he's also the best tank for zoning the rest of your team, meaning the whole enemy team gets to focus you down while you're in their backline. Log off. Hela. I'm not sure if it's just because she's broken, but Hela is a terrible matchup for Magik. She can sit from afar on height that's difficult to reach, and even if you do reach her, she just flies away and you're sandwiched between the enemy team. And if that wasn't enough to make you want to quit the game already, she also has one of the best stuns in the game, which I've already explained is something that us Magik players don't particularly enjoy. Egregious matchup, log off. Last we got Hulk. Hulk is quite a terrible matchup for Magik for quite a few reasons. He has an AoE shield that goes to all his allies and a really good stun, which I feel I've already explained is not good for Magik. Hulk is pretty difficult to get past if you want to reach the enemy backline, but the worst part is his ultimate version of his stun. You will just straight up die and it's super easy for him to use since you're a melee character. Hopefully this tier list helped you guys out. I'd really appreciate a sub if you're feeling nice, and if you want to see more gameplay, I plan on streaming more often over at twitch.tv/snowymr. Peace.